You are entering the Take Up, place to gather when the film is over. I'm your host, Joshua Ray, and I'm here with my co-host and the managing editor of thetakeup.com, Andrew Wyatt. Hello, Andrew.
Hello, Josh. I have just one thing to say, and that's that I'm not your stupid son anymore.
Today we are processing Birth. That is Andrew's pick, who's not my son, for the Critics Are Stupid program. And hey, guess what? Katharine Coldiron returns back talking Birth with us. Hey, Katharine.
Hey, Josh.
First, we've got some films now showing, and then after Birth. Oh. Damn it. We'll have one more.
Walked right into that. Like a rake.
Yeah.
I feel like we're going to have a lot of those. Is there something called a before birth? I guess it's...
No, that's called labor. That's what that's called.
Well, speaking of labor, Andrew, you've put your work in and watched some new films, whereas I have not.
It's been kind of a sparse week. Unless you wanted to see Kung Fu Panda 4, there really wasn't much going on this week.
And I didn't, so I asked my dear friend Taylor to step in at KMOV, and I told her I don't want to catch up on all the Kung Fu Pandas in order to see Kung Fu Panda 4. And what do I see on Letterboxd throughout the day? Is Sweet Taylor logging each Kung Fu Panda?
Maybe she was doing a rewatch. I will say, I am not enthusiastic about the new one, but the Kung Fu Panda trilogy is a legitimately great trilogy.
At some other date, missing out.
At some other date, I'll argue that why they're actually excellent Kung Fu movies specifically.
Oh, well, then you want to argue that with me, because that's all I watch these days. Although I did go see Little Women 94 this week.
I love that movie.
You know what? Me kind of too. And but I got more. I got more for one more thing about all that.
Okay.
Andrew, will you review some films?
Yeah, I kind of played catch up on some international releases this past couple weeks. Stuff I've been interested in and anticipating and been sort of putting off. First up is Greece's submission to this year's Oscars. This is Oscar weekend, I believe. It was not shortlisted, so this is not a movie that I guess caught the same
Oscar weekend, I believe. And I'm sitting here like, can we hurry up with this podcast so I can go watch the red carpet?
I've fallen out of my Oscar habit. I used to have Oscar parties, and I don't anymore. Like my interest in Oscar has just fallen off the cliff. But this was Greece's submission to the Oscars for this year, and it's a fascinating film directed by a filmmaker named Asimina Prodru. Oh, I'm getting that right. It's her first feature film. It won big at the Hellenic Film Academy Awards last year, which are the Greek Oscars, including Best Picture. So obviously this was the film they picked out. It's sort of a timely, current big issues film about migrants. It's about smuggling of migrants across the Italy to North Macedonia border. That sort of mischaracterizes what the film is about. It's really sort of a triptych drama, sort of chopped up and told from different perspectives. Not quite. A lot of people are saying, oh, it's Rashomon style. It's not really Rashomon style. It's almost more subdivided and chopped up than that. There are a lot of ellipses in it. So we're following a fisherman who works on a lake right on the Macedonia-Italy border and sort of is in hard financial times and starts taking on, almost unwillingly, migrants across the lake for his deadbeat criminal brother-in-law. We also follow his wife, who is a very devout Greek Orthodox parishioner, but also is very supportive of her husband, but also kind of has her own shady stuff going on the side and is very deeply conflicted about whether or not to help the migrant community in the area because the church is actually opposed to the migrants. And then it also follows their sort of young adult daughter who is living with them and is trying to sort of get out and make a name for herself. It's really a family drama. The migrant stuff is almost like the substrate on which the family drama happens. I liked it. I had some criticisms of it overall, just because I feel like there's some plot beats that are a little cliche or tired. But for the most part, it's really interesting. Does a really good job of treating the subdivided triple plot line not as a way to conceal information and spring revelations on us, but as a way to show how people get sort of caught in these tunnel vision views of their own lives and not really registering anything else that's happening outside them. So it's almost like by design, it's almost like almost like you're seeing an anthology, because these three characters are so focused, even though their stories are all interrelated plot wise, and they're having echoes and ripples on each other. They're all sort of caught in their own little world with their own problems and their own priorities. So recommended. It's on Film Movement Plus right now. I also saw a film that's not playing here in St. Louis. I hope we can bring it here eventually. I've talked to Pete at Webster. I don't know what the likelihood of bringing it in, because it's a filmmaker that I know Josh and I both really enjoy. Flemish filmmaker Baz Devos, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, who made a film a few years ago that I know Josh and I both really loved, called Ghost Tropic, about sort of immigrant workers in modern day Brussels, sort of a Long Dark Night of the Soul movie about a woman who catches the wrong bus, or she sleeps on her bus and she ends up riding to the end of the line, has to walk back home across the entirety of Brussels over the course of one night. It's a very
Oh
cool
my God.
film.
That movie is so gorgeous, but also like hypnotically frightening, and just really the way that the architecture of Belgium is, or Brussels, is used to represent like the collapsing of history and time, and the ever-present ghosts of the past. And it also has that
It takes place very specifically in the wake of the 2018
yeah,
Brussels terrorist attacks. So like
yeah,
there's all kinds of subtext floating freely around this very simple story of a woman trying to get home. So if you like
yeah,
that
yeah.
hypnotic quality, but you don't want the dread, his new film here is actually a really good antidote. So it does a lot of the things that Ghost Tropic does really excellently, but it does it in a more, I don't want to say upbeat. It's a very melancholic film, but the way I've been describing it is, this is before sunrise for people who live and work alone.
Talk anymore about this movie,
Why?
because this is Josh Ray catnip. I
Oh,
don't
and
want
it's
to
beautiful,
know
and it's beautifully shot.
anything else about it.
I'm not going to tell you anything else about it, because the potency of it is the visuals, the sensations. It's like Ghost Tropic. It's very attuned. It's more daytime than nighttime, but it's very attuned to the ambient sound and feeling of a city, both the industrial grunginess of it and sort of the green loveliness of the hidden spaces. There's a whole thing about a community garden. It's just a really lovely, beautiful, quiet film with just an absolutely heartbreaking punctuation mark on the end of the film. I loved it.
Don't shut you shut.
So
Cinema Guild, you're on my list. Answer my email.
I'm hoping they can bring it here, or at least it comes to VOD soon, because I really want more people to see it. It's only playing in like New York and a few other markets right now.
Yeah, come on. We want cinema in flyover country too.
And
Sorry,
finally,
Catherine. You can go see anything you want.
And I'm like sitting here all smug. I mean, it does take me an hour 45 of traffic to see any of this stuff, but
You know what?
I'll
That's
take
right.
it.
that's the price to play.
envy
That's the
you.
LA. That's the LA price to play, right?
Yep.
All right. Your last one is more readily available, correct?
Yeah, this is actually playing here in St. Louis. I believe it's at the Alamo. No, it's not at Alamo. I'm sorry. It's at Plaza Frontenac right now in here in St. Louis. This is Io Capitano. This is the latest film from Italian filmmaker Matteo Garrone. Speaking of Oscars, this film was actually nominated for Best International Feature, weirdly, alongside a lot of heavy hitters like Teacher's Lounge and Zone of Interest. So I don't think it really has a prayer. It's kind of like the black sheep in that group.
Do you think so? Because I've heard a good deal about this movie. So I mean, I think Zone of Interest has got it, but
yeah, I'm hearing people are really liking this, but it seems like this crop from this year is really strong.
It is really strong.
Yeah,
I do think, I think I've seen everything in the international feature list except Anatomy of a Fall.
that's wild to me.
Yeah, I know. But of the ones I've seen, this is the weakest one. But it's still an excellent film. I do like Matteo Garrone's, particularly his big breakout feature, which was Gomorrah. And he made a film a few years ago that I really love called Dog Man, which I always say is a better Joker movie than Joker. I will say the new film I like it maybe in spite of itself. So it's a very important social issue movie about the migration of sub-Saharan African people to Italy and the difficulties, particularly in the last 5 years, that they faced because of a specific governmental agreement between the Libyan government and the Italian government that has created all kinds of horrific human rights abuses. All that is kind of like not even discussed in the film. It's just the background in which this film takes place. The film is very much a character study of this teenage boy in Senegal, in Dakar, who's trying to get to Italy with his cousin, and the sort of odyssey that he goes on in the process. It's very much a sort of grinding let's see how we can put these characters through the ringer, one horrible thing after another. But what redeems it, I think, from a kind of miserableism is the central performance from a young newcomer named Seydou Sarr is absolutely amazing. He won the Marcello Mastroianni Award at the Venice Film Festival last year for this, deservedly so. It's an incredible performance. And it really sells, I think, what makes this movie better than a typical, here's a very important issue you should feel sad about drama, which is it very much treats it as a complicated movie about being a morally decent person in extenuating circumstances and how we hang on to that. This character that he plays, Seydou, is very sort of guileless and naive, but he's also very morally upright, and he's trying to hang on to that. And they're not presenting him as either a sort of Forrest Gumpian goober, but they're also not presenting him as this sort of Christ-like figure. He's very much a terrified miner in a horrible situation. What is Josh giggling at there? Sorry, you derailed me.
Why is this funny? My God.
Goober.
Yeah, goober was a great descriptive word for
It's just
Forrest
a
Gump.
great combination of syllables.
Sorry.
Well done.
So I really like the performance. I really like the character because they're very much drilling down into this idea that he's a terrified teenager in a horrible situation who's just trying to like be good. He cares. He's very loyal. He's very decent. He cares for his cousin deeply. He cares for women and children particularly. He tries to protect at every turn, despite himself, against his own safety and his own good sense. So I liked it as a sort of character study about that, about trying to do the right thing in circumstances that are almost horribly designed to not be able to do the right thing.
Yeah, that's his whole vibe, is the morality tale, right?
Mm-hmm.
And kind of dissecting the steps that it takes to cross that or not.
Yeah, and there's some flourishes of magical realism in this as well that adds some sort of West African mysticism in there that didn't really work for me, but I almost feel like the film works in spite of it. So I do think it's the weaker in a incredibly strong field of international feature Oscars this year, but I do highly recommend it. It's worth checking out just for that lead performance and some amazing visuals too. Garone's always had really good cinematographers that he's worked with, and this film is no exception.
Well, shall we talk a little bit more about morality, if we must? So Andrew has picked Jonathan Glazer, someone who's been on our minds lately, I'll say, for the final pick in the Critics Are Stupid program. That is the 2004 film Earth.
I'm right here in front of you, Bob.
Am I to understand that 10-year-old boy that came to my birthday party, unannounced, uninvited, is now claiming, told you, that he was your late husband, Sean? Are you telling me this little boy is now sending letters to you telling you not to marry Joseph?
What I can tell you is that I love Anna. I love her very much.
I have to say, I'm not one bit tired of hearing you say that word, Josh, because you say, yes, say it again.
Earth. if like, I would be good if this had been nominated for anything. You should have me do the like best picture intro for the montage for Birth. Birth.
There's something juicy about the way you say that B.
I feel like
it's the R that I love. This sort
Earth. And I like the end of it. We're just all around agree. I should be saying the word birth.
You should be doing the trailer guy voice.
You ever think about how Goldie Hawn introduced 12 Years a Slave that year?
Remind me.
12 years a slave.
Oh my gosh.
We make choices. We make choices. Sometimes they're not good. Oh my God. Tonight, we're going to get the panels of past winners presenting the Oscars again.
Mm-hmm.
Guys.
How did that go last time they tried that a few years ago?
It takes forever, and that makes me happy. Anyway, hi, Katharine Coldiron. You're back. Because critics are just stupid. Critics are just stupid. Author of Junk Film.
Okay, we have to introduce me. I didn't know that. Sorry, kcoldiron.com. kcoldiron.com. I'm still doggedly on Twitter at Fairy Frigida, and I have a book coming out in May that pre-orders just opened for it. It has nothing to do with movies at all. It's a collection of short stories about bad parenting and bad vibes called Why Are Mothers? So
you've been talking about the book, and I thought it was Why Are Mothers?
Mm-hmm.
And I discovered with the pre-orders, your announcement of the pre-orders, it is Wire Mothers.
It is.
With some great cover art, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, the cover art's so good.
Yeah.
And you gotten some good reviews on this thing so far, too. So it
Yeah.
sounds like something to be pretty proud of.
Thank you.
So we'll see whether or not we're proud of Andrew's choice here. Spoiler alert, this is one of my favorite films that we've covered, I'll say. I think I like it more than any of you. So I'm going to back away for a second and ask Andrew, why birth?
Well, to continue the species, of course. No.
If we must.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's not a good idea. I don't know. So there's a film I had seen back in like the early DVD days, like when it 1st came out. And I didn't remember much about it. So when Zone of Interest came out last year, I decided it was the one Jonathan Glazer film I didn't have real clear memories of. So I decided to revisit it. And when I was looking into it to revisit it, I said, is this movie hated? Why is this movie hated? I don't really recall. So I looked it up and was like, oh my God, this movie's like 39% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's just it wasn't really low audience scores as well. It wasn't very well received at the time in 2004. And then I rewatched it and I said, oh my God, people are stupid because this movie rules. And I don't understand. Like, I can understand this being a divisive movie. I totally get, this is one of those things where I get it. It's not a movie that's easy to love. It's got a lot that I love about it, but I could see why somebody would look askance at it. The fact that it's sub 40 on Rotten Tomatoes, like it's some sort of 15th generation Marvel movie that nobody likes. I don't really get that at all. So I just sort of react.
Think of the 4 films that we've covered, it has the lowest score, even lower than Stone Cold.
So wow. I sort of recoiled from that, like that fact sort of annoyed me. I don't remember if this was the whole genesis for the series or not. It may have been, but I recoiled from that in a way that made me go, this movie, like, am I wrong? You start doubting yourself, right? Like, I think this movie rules. Am I crazy? What's going on? So
one thing I think is I think this movie is 100% ahead of its time, because as I was watching it, I was thinking about 2004 and the kinds of movies I was watching then. And like this fits really well with the current, I'm going to say, indie movement toward nothing happening in a movie for a while. Like I'm thinking specifically about Saint Maud, which was a movie that Andrew spoke very highly of. And I watched it and I was like, nothing fucking happens.
Episode 1 of this podcast, Saint Maud. Literally.
And Birth, it similarly has these very long spaces of nothing happening. And in 2004, I think it was easy to misinterpret that as a filmmaker who doesn't have a lot to say.
To back you up, on Rotten Tomatoes, Mick LaSalle, the movie never delivers on its promises. Seattle Times, strangely inert, a beautifully filmed bad idea. Nick Shager, a critic whom I love, frustratingly stillborn. Of course, we love puns. Unusually austere and ambiguous from David Edelstein.
Ambiguous is a compliment, David.
Art
is ambiguous.
So much watching this movie. I don't understand. These people are very privileged to not have anything ever go wrong in their lives, it seems.
Right. I'm actually astonished because Ebert gave it 3.5. I think he's wrong all the time, but he does say in later on, there seem to be 2 possible explanations for what finally happens, but neither one is consistent with all the facts. And I was like, that's the Ebert that I know, not, the kind of guy who says, our strategy for this game is that we're going to score more points than the other team. Like, yes, there are 2 versions. That is the film. You just described the film. Good job.
Yeah. So Katharine, what's your history with this? Have you seen it before?
I had seen it before and I had no specific memories of it. Well, a lot like Andrew. I remember I was a lot younger then. I had less patience. So I think that the slowness of it was not a good thing for me in those days. I also liked Kidman a lot more, which meant that I liked the character a lot less, if that makes any sense at all.
It does.
And yeah, but my regard for Kidman has fallen a lot lower than it was then. So now I'm kind of like, this is of a piece, I guess.
It's very easy to be suspect about this or suspicious about this performance after her kind of behaving her way through the subsequent 2 decades with wigs and
Beautifully
just
said.
but I have to say she's never been better here. I mean, a film I like more, Eyes Wide Shut, but that's like the one of the handful of films that I think are unimpeachably great and one of my favorites. I like her in To Die For, very early high style from Kidman. I feel Anna, I don't even know Nicole Kidman in this. I don't think about Nicole Kidman playing this character as I'm watching it. And I think that's a compliment to her.
It's a top 5, maybe top 3 Kidman performance for me. I'm also somebody who sort of runs hot and cold on her, especially her whole thing that she's been doing in past decade or two. But this is incredible performance for me. I think the thing that most impressed me is the degree of difficulty. Like this is a short film. It's about 90 minutes long. She has to sell the evolution and then the return question mark from this completely ludicrous premise in the space of 90 minutes, and I 100% bought it.
100%. Yeah.
Something dawned on me about this film. I mean, I'm gonna just let's just pretend I never saw it because my reaction to it was 100% wrong when I was younger. I realized that what this movie is actually about is grief. And without her performance, it is incredibly easy to misunderstand the entire axis of the film. And so I think it would make sense, again, if you're a critic watching this, you're watching Nicole, you're not really watching what she's doing so much as you're watching her. But these days, because I take her less seriously, I'm able to actually see what she's up to and the character she's playing. Without understanding that axis, the film becomes much more of a gimmick. And that's not what it's intended to be at all.
No, and that's my history with it, is that I, like Andrew, watched it probably on a Blockbuster DVD, bought it with like a $3.99 sticker on it and responded to it as an art movie. Like, it's beautifully shot. The score by Alexander Desplat is like, just melts my entire body. And Kidman's all of the performances have this sort of stilted calmness to them. There's one line we have to talk about. I'm going to reserve it until we're through and we're talking about the little minutia of all of it.
A great child performance too.
Great child performance, and an uncommonly good. I do not like seeing children perform. I feel that it must be very confusing for them, because it would be confusing for me. I just do not like the idea of seeing children on screen. But this guy is so
smart.
Good. He's so smart. Like, you can see the intelligence. So it makes you question whether or not, like, it makes the whole kind of gimmick of it work, in that you're constantly guessing, is this kid for fucking real, or is he playing everyone? Because he is more talented than Mr. Ripley if he's doing it.
It sells the premise that we have to believe, which is the old soul cliche. We have to believe that there's an old soul behind those eyes, and that kid's performance does a spectacular job of selling that to us. If there's something icy, something calculating, something also perceptive and wise about the performance that's hard to put your finger on, but it's there. It's very obviously there.
And this movie culturally became a queer classic. In that gay men of a certain age love this movie because of Nicole, because of the like wells of feeling in it, because of the style, because of Betty McCall's presence, because it's a film that is completely misunderstood. And like, I don't know, I guess there's something in us, we see it and we're like, yeah, I get it. I watched it last year. I'm just gonna be very personal about this, and I apologize for making anyone uncomfortable. But my mother died about 2 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry, Josh.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's been like, if you think it's going to be the worst thing it's the worst thing that ever happens, right? And it really reconfigures your brain, and it's Terrible. This movie, if you don't know what the grieving process is, I can see how you would be very confused by it. That you would think it is a film about an older woman diddling a kid. It is not. Sorry, it is not about that.
It's not about that proximally, but it's also not about that in the sense that that's not what it's about.
Not about that. Yeah. If you don't have someone whose memory has outlasted their physical presence, and you don't understand what it is to give anything in the world to have them back, you don't get this movie.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get it. And I think some people watch it and they understand, because they're empathetic and sympathetic people. They understand what this film is actually about. But otherwise, I hate to tell the other folks you're watching it wrong, but I do believe they are.
They are, though.
I mean, this is one of the films
I hate to say that, right? I hate to say that you're watching it wrong, but
yeah,
people watch things wrong.
Not me. I love to say that. I'll say that any day. You're all watching Michael Bay wrong. You are. And yeah, I think the thing that struck me was the basis of her performance is that she doesn't want to be in the world with the living. She just wants him. Right. And honestly, this is a ridiculous thing to say. But if I hadn't written Ceremonials, which is about a girl growing into a woman who is in love with someone who's dead, like I don't think I would have understood this movie at all if I hadn't written that book, because writing that book caused me to think about, what happens when someone that we love dies before we have the destiny of true love with them for the rest of. And I was thinking about Titanic and how, Romeo and Juliet, how it's very hard to find really good love stories other than The Notebook that are about a couple where both people live. Usually what happens is one of them dies or they both die, because a great love can't endure life on earth. And to kind of recognize that and work with it for the space of a book helped me to understand and work with that idea in this movie as well.
And there's a really interesting turn at the end of this film when we are privileged with some information that Anna, the Nicole Kidman character, is not privileged with, is that Sean was carrying on an affair with her sister-in-law, played by Anne Heche, who, this is our second Anne Heche film, right? Yeah, after Psycho 98.
Yeah.
A film Andrew loves.
I love her in this, though. I do love Anne Heche in this.
She's great.
So good in this movie. She's so good.
It took me 3 times to realize that there's a costume design thing going on with Anna and Clara, which is that Anna is air and there's an elemental affinity in terms of colors. Anna is air and water, and Clara is earth and fire.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of blonde brunette, but also just like the way that they're dressed and the way that even the interiors are lit when they're in the room. It's really wild.
And I want to remark too, I do want to get back to this cheating thing because it's a really tough way to sort of twist the movie. Nicole Kidman appears tall in this movie. She's a tall woman, but it made me realize that in most of her movies, she's shot in such a way that her full height is not actually available to the audience. And in this one, you see that she's taller than most of the other people around her. And I'm curious what that's about, like whether that's about the character or Glazer or, the feeling that she needs to tower over the kid or what. But I really enjoyed that. It's felt like for once, someone's vanity was not being played up to, whether that's Kidman herself or her male co-stars.
It's wild to compare Days of Thunder to Eyes Wide Shut, because Kubrick leaned into the fact that she is a bit taller than Tom Cruise, even though I think there was a little bit of adjustment going on. I mean, he infamously does stand on boxes. He is a short king of Scientology, but I don't want to praise him too much, but I think that it is sort of a study in contrast. But there's something else in this film. I know we kind of, this movie's so rich for how kind of succinct it is.
It's so
and how
barren.
Fable-like. Yes.
But
there's so much.
Oh, there's so much.
there's also there's a strain, and this comes from probably the screenwriter Jean-Claude Perrier, who is one of the great like screenwriters of all time and is mostly known for working with Louise Buñuel. And this strain of just attacking the upper crust by showing them in their mundanity, but they're like just ultimately the way that they wield their power, but setting that against the banality of their lives too.
There's such great class subtext in this film. It winds its way. And I think, Katharine, you're 100% right that grief is the core idea of this film. But one of the things I think about good ghost stories, and I do think in some ways this is a ghost story or a sort of ghost story. Good ghost stories, almost all good ghost stories are about grief in some way. But
Yes.
What's fascinating to me is that a good ghost story can also get its tendrils into other aspects of the human experience, because death itself cracks open all those things. Like the things that don't matter in death start to become thrown into high relief when death invades the world of the living. And that's essentially what's happening here, is that death is invading back into the world of life. And it's cracking open fissures, of relationship fissures, family fissures, class fissures. I mean, just the way that the fact that Nicole Kidman's apartment is higher in the apartment building than even the people who Sean's father is tutoring are even lower in the building than they like. It's an incidental fact that has no effect on the plot, but it feels right in some way.
But getting in the elevator to go up higher in this building means something.
Right.
You instinctually feel that it means that they're just on a completely different level. And whenever Anna, wait, does she go to the apartment? Somebody goes to the apartment.
They all go together, I think.
Tutor, right.
Danny Houston,
anyway,
the fiance, sort of aggressively marches Sean to the door, and then Anna eventually comes down. He calls Anna, and she comes down as well. So they're all kind of. That's the scene where Sean collapses in the hallway. Eventually,
you can feel the tension between the people living there and Danny Houston, who is above them, quite literally.
I live upstairs, he says.
He's living with his mother-in-law, like,
and there's that too. He's a hanger-on.
I will say one of the things that I did walk away with from the first time I saw this film is that Danny Houston is freaking amazing, because this is a surprisingly delicate part to play. And it could be fucked up in so many different ways, but instead he plays it like with this extraordinary sensitivity to he's being cuckolded by a child or a dead man or both. And the fact that he has to kind of let out some of that indignity, but not a lot of it. And he ends up being more likable than Anna, the main character.
Till that scene where he boils over. But it makes the boil over feel really real. Like there's something messy about how he finally explodes that really, like, it's like, oh God, it's just, yes. You can't, it's so cringy. You can't even watch it. It's bad.
The meta aspect of it being Danny Houston too.
Oh yeah.
John Huston's son. Like, isn't that enough for me to say?
Marrying Lauren Bacall's daughter.
Like, for me, that's enough to understand who that character is. And like he sounds like his father, but like a little bitch version of his father.
Oh my God. Sorry. See,
I don't like this character.
There's a reason
at no point, but I get the sympathy for him, because if I were in the same position, I would probably be even worse. Like, because that's pretty wild. And this movie does play all of these things straight. I don't think at any point is it like a Buñuelian thing where our dead son is inside this child. I mean, it toys with that and whether or not people believe it, but ultimately it reveals that the whole thing is just like a bit from
when I'm selling this,
mentally unstable.
When I'm selling this to people, I'm trying to convince them to watch this movie despite its reputation. I say that the reason it works is because all the characters behave realistically. They react to the impossible in a realistic fashion. So it doesn't, I absolutely see the Buñuel connections, but it doesn't behave like a typical surrealistic piece where things kind of go off the wall. It's let's drop an impossibility into this Tony Upper East Side situation and watch as the characters behave as they probably would behave in real life if they were presented with this impossibility. The indignity of the sister-in-law and the way that Lauren Bacall's sort of icy patrician distaste with it all and just constantly registering her discomfort to her daughter, but not really making her daughter do anything. And the way that then pushes Anna even further to go off the deep end. The fact that her mother hates it just makes her more strident about it.
Can I say the line I referenced earlier? When they're standing outside the delivery room and there's a baby in the thing, and Lauren Bacall just looks at it and she says, maybe that's Sean.
It's the bitchiest.
It's so good. It is such a like sort of relief in these dour circumstances, but it's funny. It's
nothing funny in this movie. Like, deeply unfunny movie.
It's deeply unfunny, but Betty Bacall, her delivery of that, mama, rest in peace. Yeah. Yes, it is a deeply unfunny movie, but there are moments of that where we're approaching the surreality of the situation or where it could go into a magical realism. There's a reference point. I don't know if it immediately came to your minds, and it never really has in the past, but since watching this a couple weeks ago at the Webster University Film Series, which was a lot of fun to see it in an audience for the first time. Rosemary's Baby has played a lot in my head. And the same way that Rosemary's Baby proposes something wild could be happening, something untrue and unbelievable could be happening, but then ultimately plays it very seriously. And then you've also got this dressing of like the haircut, the pixie cut that Nicole has in this is very similar to the pixie cut Mia Farrow has in that one. And then you've got the Dakota of it all, in New York, Upper East Side. There's all this kind of window dressing of this. But this movie ultimately plays like a Visconti, like some kind of death-haunted epic of emotion, even though it's just dealing with this very small group of people. There's something that feels
it's the
so
cinematography
big about it.
It's the cinematography,
and the music,
I think, that helps in that.
Okay, but I felt this movie owed visually a lot to Kubrick in a way that
so much. Yeah.
Like and the pace of the scenes felt like Kubrick. And like that, to me, that's not, because like the pace of David Lynch's scenes is very particular. And it is, it's unique in a way that's similar to the pace of Kubrick's scenes. And this did mimic Kubrick, not Lynch, not surreal, rather just like people pause for inordinately weird amounts of time before they say things. And the sort of the sterility of it and the cold wintry aspect. Like this movie never got out of winter. And I was thinking about this because the seasons are so important in Zone of Interest. And the fact that there's like, the gorgeous summer of Sexy Beast, this like hot summer that opens the film and that plays an important part throughout. And I was wondering kind of whether, because the new Suspiria, and I can never pronounce the guy's name correctly who made the new Suspiria, but he intended to make, thank you, he made a winter Suspiria where the original was a summer Suspiria. And so I was thinking about seasons and whether that's relevant. And I also want to talk about the music, but I've just been rambling. So you guys.
No, you haven't. You've been bringing up all the things that are so rich in this, in that, okay, one, yes, like Danny Houston, there's a Kubrick stare shot, especially when he's looking at that like apartment that they would potentially move into, and he starts looking out the window at kids playing, and he looks like a fucking Full Metal Jacket, like he's about to blow his brains out in the bathroom.
I would be so angry if I was him. Oh my god, she fucking she can't even come to Like he wants to get them on a house of their own so that they can get out from under Laura McCall's thumb, and she can't even show up.
Him.
Like,
she don't love him.
oh, I love him.
She don't love him.
Oh,
It's
no.
interesting.
Oh, no, of course not. No.
It's interesting. You brought up Rosemary's Baby, and one thing that Rosemary's Baby does do is it adds in actors outside the immediate social circle. So very, very pointedly, it brings Rosemary's like young liberal friends into the mix about halfway through the movie to basically reaffirm that what we suspect of the audience is that this is all not normal and you need to get away from the situation. But it also has like the doctors who are in on the conspiracy. There are places outside the apartment that have forces that are either bringing Rosemary in or pushing her away. One of the things I like about this movie is that it feels a bit hermetic. Even though the situation is deeply disturbing, there's no psychologists or psychiatrists ever involved, other than the brother-in-law. There's no police ever involved. It all sort of, the scandal happens entirely, which again is very sort of upper class, right? The scandal happens entirely behind closed doors, and it completely blows up and becomes a big thing, but it never is allowed to sort of breach the walls of propriety inside this world.
Yes.
So I don't even know where I was going with that, but it just feels significant to me that like we never, like if I was Danny Houston, the first thing I would say is, okay, we need to talk to a child psychiatrist and see if his parents are okay with taking this child to a doctor because something is not right. But like nobody ever suggests that. It's let's handle it. I'm going to go upstairs and talk to the father myself. Like it's a very sort of let's keep it inside the walls thing.
I mean, part of that for me is the deceit of a movie and of a story. Right. And Glazer mentioned a fairy tale, and honestly, I don't know if that's a very productive way to think about this film, to be honest. But I think the sense that, like, if you're in a Western, you shoot the horses and the movie is over. That's why you chase the horses, because otherwise you don't have a movie. And if you take the kid to a child psychiatrist and the game is up and there's no movie. On the other hand, the sense of handling it ourselves is, you're right, very, very much a rich person's world. And I'm so interested in the comparison to Rosemary's Baby, because to me, Polanski is such a completely different kind of filmmaker than this. Like the way that he creates discomfort is so different from the way Glazer creates discomfort, and how the sort of pace, the hysteria of something like Rosemary's Baby or Repulsion. There's no hysteria in this movie. This movie is making things excruciating by stretching them out instead of by getting closer to them.
This movie could turn into either of those during Act 3. But what happens in Act 3 is you find out that the kid is lying, and the way the kid is lying. So if this film were to be about possession, like a spiritual possession, you could see how it's building towards hysteria. But instead, this movie is
an exorcism scene in the third act.
Right. It's not about any of that.
No.
It reveals itself to be about how you would behave in this situation. I like how you both referenced Roger Ebert's review, and that was like his lead. It's like, this is a movie that works because this is how people would behave in this situation. And I think what it reveals is that process of grief when you have not actually grieved, and like the impossibility of grieving. Because when you're introduced to the idea of that person coming back, suddenly all the work you've done is like thrown out the window.
Sean is not like, I think the cheating revelation is really fascinating because it punctures our view of Sean as a sort of ideal husband and blameless person, and complicates things. Anna never really gets that view.
Nope.
But the movie kind of talks around it, but we never get the explanation. I don't think Anna ever gets the explanation for how Sean knew so much. It's just sort of brushed aside. Oh, he's lying. Okay, let's move on with our lives.
At some point, you imagine that she would.
Clara is not at the wedding. Clara ain't at the wedding. Let's just say that. At the end.
No, the wedding has selective shots, but you're right. I think but
it doesn't matter, right? Like what matters is that the idea that Sean was not maybe the ideal person that she still has in her brain doesn't matter. it doesn't change the grief. It doesn't modify it. We grieve for people who are complete pieces of shit all the time for reasons that we can't even really necessarily understand.
Because grieving is mostly about yourself. Grieving is how do I deal in relation to I'm not talking about myself.
No,
You don't have to cry, but it is mostly about
I'm
yourself.
saying that's I've never thought of it that way. And given what I've been going through over the past year, that's like such a fucking Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Let me
take a break.
No, let me interject here. So
okay, go ahead.
So I do think this is I do think absolutely agree that this is a movie about grief. I wrote down when I first reviewed it last year that this is a movie about the demonic obstinacy of love. That love just sort of gets its claws into us against all reason and rationality, and it refuses to let go for something as piddling as death. But the thing that this film, when I rewatched this film last year, the thing that it awoken in me is that there's this amazing paragraph that opens David Ehrlich's review of the movie Pig with Nicolas Cage that I saw a couple years ago, and I think is also a fantastic masterpiece about grief. But I love this. This popped into my brain because at the time I clocked how great of a description it is, and it immediately made me think of Birth as well. The most resonant films about loss represent a wide variety of genres and modes, and yet they're all bound together by the shared understanding of a simple truth. Acceptance may be the last stage of grief, but it's invariably the longest as well. The acceptance of death is neither a respite nor an exit ramp. It's a purgatory, as infinite and layered as the inferno itself, a maze so vast that most people eventually stop looking for a way out and instead start looking for ways to forget that they can't escape. I'm like, oh my God, is that not what Anna is living?
That's the last scene of the movie. And the thing that I think it's so important to figure out is that she doesn't want to get over her husband. She wants him back. And to like try to paper over that with another man, even one as understanding and persistent as Danny Houston, it's just like that's the best she can do, but it's so not sufficient when what she really wants is Sean back. No matter the cheating thing, I feel like turns the sense of a triangle into a geometric shape that does not exist. Like because Anna is obsessed with her dead husband, the living boy Sean is obsessed with Anna, the husband was potentially obsessed with Clara. Like these people are not connecting with each other at all.
Really, when we were talking about it being about grief, part of the problem is that in grieving, you'll never, ever truly understand another person. And when you're grieving, you're removed the opportunity to keep that process going. And that's the process of love, is the attempt to ultimately understand someone else and to see what makes them tick, but to see what motivates them, to see what demotivates them. And when that is suddenly removed is when you have to start grieving, right? So I think, if you're not someone who has gone through a great piece of grief, I think if you can see this movie for what it is, you'll see the value in it, in that's something I love in storytelling and in art, is that's just us trying to figure each other out. Ultimately, you're never going to, but that's the whole idea. That's why we're all here, is just figuring out why we're all here. Well, I feel like I'm going to make Katharine cry. Katharine, stop. You did not just heart react in the Zoom.
Well, and that's the heartbreak of Anna's particular situation. And I think that part of what makes this movie work is that it isn't trying to make a universal statement about like nobody ever gets over anybody. Like, okay, yeah, maybe that's true for a lot of people. There are some people who may have, are widowed and then marry a new person and they find happiness and it's fine.
Sure.
Happens all the time. But the specificity of Anna's situation, and again, it comes back to Kidman's performance, I think, the way that she convinces us that this woman is somehow congenitally incapable of moving on from this man. Josh, I like the way you described it as the process of getting to know someone, and then when someone dies, you lose not only do you lose access to that, but the person that was there that you were getting to know is crystallized forever at this moment in
Yeah.
time. And the only way you could potentially learn more is through the forbidden way that Anna doesn't have access to, which is through Sean's illicit relationship with somebody else. There's something really shitty too about, I want to say, about the fact that Sean never opened Anna's letters and gave them to Clara as a statement of love. Ooh,
That is depraved.
that is some real piece of shit
devastating
stuff.
Yeah.
and
Yuck.
can we talk about real piece of shit stuff too when Clara says to Sean, I know you're not Sean because blah blah blah, and if you were Sean, we could have explored this.
Yeah. And before we move on to piece of shit stuff, because we got to acknowledge that. The thing I'm curious about is whether the role of projection in all of this love, because the stuff that Andrew, you and Josh have been saying about love is so beautiful and so resonant and meaningful and pure. However, I feel like this movie is full of people looking in mirrors and calling it love of another, and what that has to do with obsession. And it made me think. I was going to save this for one more thing, but it made me think of the book Endless Love that was made into a Brooke Shields movie in the 80s, but the book is fucking great. And it turns out that what he means by endless love is obsessive love to an incredibly unhealthy, messy, terrible degree. And that's kind of what's going on here. The directions, but we could have explored that. Let's go back to that.
Well, I did say when I reviewed this last year that it's as much about infatuation as it is about real love. It's about the absolute illogical insanity of infatuation when it happens and infects you deeply and you can't get it out of your brain. But that's not as charming as saying true love never dies.
Yeah.
This movie's so fucking good. God damn. I'm getting so excited about this fucking movie.
I'm glad I picked it.
I like it grows in appreciation for me, like all probably great films do, because this is so simply told too. That's what's so sort of magical about the way that it does unfold, is that we didn't even set it up, but the setup of it is so like, it's like a Twilight Zone episode.
2 sentences.
Yeah. What if this happened? What would you do? But it's so much more than that. It's Glazer's perfecting of his tools too. Did you catch up with Sexy Beast, Catherine? Have you watched it yet?
Yeah, I watched it.
Oh, yes. You sent us the email. So that's a good movie. I like it. But this to me is like leaps and bounds beyond that. And then he kind of keeps doing that for me. And unfortunately, it's like once every decade now.
That's fine. Look what happened when Terrence Malick made a bunch of movies in a decade.
I was thinking about Malick. I was thinking about Malick because Malick is like, he was kind of right out of the box. Everything was there.
Yeah.
But Sexy Beast felt like there were parts of it that I was like, okay, this is genuinely innovative filmmaking. And then there were parts I was like, okay, this is just film school filmmaking. Like, first feature
some of
stuff.
It's kind of cute, playing on like swinging 60s and the whole idea of that decay of those ideas. But this to me is so invigoratingly made, but so simply made too.
And the thing that interests me about it as a as a student is this is a film that could not be anything else but a film, because without close-ups to indicate emotion, you couldn't make this into a book. And especially because I watched The Terror last week. That is a sort of novel in miniseries form. Like that's like just like The Wire. It's very novelistic. You could transform it into a book pretty easily, but this could not be a book. It could not be anything but a film. And that is someone who fully and truly understands his art form, is that he makes a piece of art that cannot be in any form other than the one that in which it exists. And that's Birth.
I want to throw something Like that is just a little very pithy piece of film criticism that I'm mad I didn't say.
Well, I think it's also telling that Glazer's subsequent two films, Under the Skin and Zone of Interest, are based on books, but so wildly different from their respective books that they might as well be original stories.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly
It's
Zone of
like
Interest.
vibes only. It's
Yeah,
carried
yeah.
over.
He pulled some categories words out and just used them like improv. Okay, Auschwitz, Real Pets, Pretty Little House. Okay, go make a movie about it. All right.
Auschwitz is a terrible category.
Yeah,
But
if I got that, I
it's a
would
Cards
walk
Against.
out
I'm
of the
sure it's a
house.
Cards Against Humanity's card right somewhere.
God.
Oh, definitely. Hey,
Oh.
I just wanted to bring up the mascot of this series is Ted Levine.
Is
You
it?
realize that we did 2 Ted Levines in a row?
Oh wow, yeah, I
He
forgot.
Dear
About
Ted
played-
Levine.
that. Yeah.
He played the cardiac arrest via Mark Wahlberg's face in Truth About Charlie.
So we can't hate him
And
too
he's
hard.
playing Cameron's dad in this too.
He's got good sweater game in this movie.
True.
God.
Good middle class
Always
sweater
good
game.
mustache game. Always good creepy presence.
Except
His mom in
except-
this.
He's funny too. If you've never seen him in Monk, he's really funny in Monk. He plays the
Never seen him
stereotypical.
in Monk. What?
You ever seen him in Monk?
Monk?
Yeah, the TV series about the detective.
Oh, I think we
Oh.
know what you're referring to.
Tony
Yeah.
Shalhoub, yeah. He plays the stereotypical, like, he's a regular. He plays like the stereotypical boss character, shouting at the rogue detective, and he's hilarious.
He has a shockingly memorable scene in Shutter Island as well, which is
Yeah, maybe
uh,
the best line in Shutter Islands.
He's
And-
also the voice of the Joyride truck, or I guess the guy in the truck. I'm not saying that the truck in Joyride is a car from the Cars universe. He is inside the truck. Excuse me. I'm gonna cut this out.
I thought you were going in a maximum overdrive direction. For
I
that.
thought so
No, I would always love to
I
do
was
that.
I was
which is
thinking of Cars. But yeah.
Cocaine. Kara Seymour plays Cameron's mother. That's devastating. That is so devastating.
American Psycho, she was in as well. Is the thing I remember.
Yeah, and
Also a movie so far ahead of its time that I did not like it on first watch.
Fair.
Boy, was I stupid. Yeah,
I'm
she
good
is.
on that one.
She's the only one who doesn't actually act like a person in this one, in my view. Like she's
What?
like she is so permissive about letting him spend time with this woman who's clearly not well.
I think she doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, I don't know if that's an
Because
excuse.
before he introduces the idea of there is literally this older woman who I'm in love with and obsessed with, he's saying, I'm not your son anymore. And it's like, what? What's happened here to you?
Now
And
I
she
get.
seems like the kind of passive person that she's not going to know what to do
Yeah,
with
but
it.
she has a very close bond to him. Like you can see, like the little bedtime games that they have previously played together. There's a moment where Nicole Kidman says something like, "I'll just take him to school tomorrow and I'll bring him home after." And like a real boy mom would go, "Absolutely not."
Yes.
Don't ever
correct.
say the phrase boy mom.
Sorry,
I'm so mad. You're
But
right.
he's right.
You're right.
it's because I
You're
saw
right,
Dune
I
again
guess.
last night, and somebody said,
Oh,
this
she's
is-
such a boy mom.
Somebody said this is a movie. This movie is really just about the power of a perverse boy mom.
Oh,
It's what Dune 2 and Birth have in common.
Maybe the only thing, but yes.
Lauren Bacall and Nicole Kidman reuniting after Lars von Trier's Dogville
Oh yeah, jeez, I
the
forgot
year
about that.
before. It's like a pairing you never thought you would get. You're getting it Bang Bang style. It's probably
work.
an appropriate way to describe that with both
Mhm.
of those films. Anyway, we got some birth to wrap up, birthing points. I don't want to say afterbirth again.
I have so many. I have so many things.
Okay, rattle
Lay 'em out to
rattle
us.
some
Okay,
things
so
off.
my
Come on,
first
come on,
one
we got
is-
birth.
My first one is no one says they're sorry in their movie.
Okay.
In this movie, not one
Yeah.
person says I'm sorry about the terrible things that they've done to each other. Nicole Kidman doesn't say she's sorry to Danny Houston. The kid doesn't say
I-
he's sorry to anyone.
I have to tell you, Catherine, Love means never having to say you're sorry.
The
See, I
total
was gonna
non-apology. The total
try and
non-apology.
make a point about blame and responsibility and how each of Glazer's movies traffics in responsibility and the shirking thereof. But you're right. Love means never
Love
having
means
to say
never
you're
having to say
sorry.
you're sorry.
And I wanted
got
to talk about the music for a minute because
Please.
Desplat, Desplat, I don't know. He seems like he's cribbing from both Philip Glass and Wagner, and the fact that Wagner comes up very specific and like it's the loudest thing in the entire movie. I know because I watched it on headphones, and the section of the overture of Die Valkyrie was like so much louder than anything else in the movie, and I'm so curious why he picked that one, because the overtures for the first opera in the Ring Cycle and the last opera in the Ring Cycle are way more famous than the Die Valkyrie overture. And it made me wonder if her job was about music, because there's all this music stuff that goes on, like playing Happy Birthday on the piano, and then the playing Here Comes the Bride with that
String quartet, yeah.
Like
string
renting the quartet or
group.
trio or
And it seemed like they were all just sitting there for that performance. Why? It's so
That's a
strange.
very old money thing to do.
It is, but it's
Very
also
old money.
like
It's
no
like the
one would
rich-
do that now.
The rich person of going to the bakery to pick out the cake was you have the string quartet who's going to be in your wedding, maybe in your wedding. You haven't decided yet. You have them come and give a live performance in your $3 million townhome, on the Upper East Side. That's just a thing you do when you have money, apparently.
I get,
I
yeah.
want to live this life. I want to have a string quartet for my events, which are non-events. They're just Thursday nights. I love it. I want to never have to say I'm sorry, because when you have money, you just don't have to.
We never do learn, to your point though, Catherine, we never do learn exactly what Anna or Joseph do. We just know that they work in fancy offices doing something.
Yeah. She seemed like she was on some kind of that meeting seemed like a board meeting. And I was kind of making all these projections about she works at a nonprofit that has to do with music for the city. Like that was, but I have the
isn't
feeling
she also like the only woman around
Yes.
that table and the only person who isn't dressed in black? Like she sticks out like a sore thumb.
She does. And what she's wearing is weirdly inappropriate for that kind of meeting. Like she's wearing like a gorgeous silk shirt, but it's not a suit in any way. It's just weirdly feminine.
Does not look like she belongs there.
Yeah. So I wanted to, the thing that stuck with me was the very last scene when Danny Houston comes to get her on the beach and she makes this move to bolt. And he follows her. It's very brief, but she like kind of jumps to the side in this way, and it's very deer-like, very animal-like. And he matches her, and I'm like, oh, what if she'd just run? What if he had let her go? What if he had stopped, obsessing over this woman who is never going to love him back?
Why are you and I so fucking opposite on this issue? Like, I'm like, he is holding her back. Let her do what she wants to.
She wants
We're
to rot
revealing
away.
too much about ourselves.
She wants to rot in her penthouse and die from love, and I think that's stupid.
She's just
I don't
she's
know.
just not into
I
you,
want a
dude.
rotten in penthouse. God.
With Lauren Bacall hovering around you. I don't know.
Yes, ultimately. So do you think is she running away or is she running towards the sea? And he stops her. Because she seems to be wet. She seems to be.
I think she hits the sea and she realizes the futility of it. But there is that. I mean, I love the way that Catherine described it like a
worse.
deer. I thought of it like
said there's a secret third thing and it's worse.
I think she went to the ocean to drown herself and was too much of a coward, because her cowardice is apparent in this movie.
Yeah.
And that's what I think it is.
It's not a great time at the movies, but I love it. I don't know how to explain it better than that. This is not a movie it's not a feel-good movie, but I love it.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up this series. But before we wrap it up properly, what are our also rans? What are the things that we all bandied about and decided? I thought, dear God, I'm not going to get into it with Catherine and Brian De Palma in this series, even though this is the perfect series for Brian De Palma.
We should do a series on Brian De Palma. Why
I would have
not?
picked Femme Fatale. I would have picked Raising Cain. I would have picked The
Raising
Black
Cain.
Dahlia. I would have picked a number of his films, and we would have had a great time talking about him. But I'm going to reserve some De Palma talk for later. Also thought about a lot more. I thought about a lot of horror from the 80s, but we always skirt around that or flirt with stuff like that and recommend things like that because
we just kind of did the
generally
Toby
all-
Hooper episode a while ago.
generally all fans of that sort of thing. Andrew, you had like a super, I called it a Josh Ray memorial list. I might have swayed you towards Birth. I don't know if I did.
I think you did. I had like three. I don't have it written down anymore, but I had a few categories. I had like my art film categories, like movies that. Speaking of Malick, like I'm a big fan of the late period Malick. I'm a big fan of To the Wonder, his romance movie with Ben Affleck that everybody seems to fucking hate.
To the Wonder, I loved it so much.
Okay, so you would have been a good person in my corner on that one because I love that movie. Some movies like that, which are sort of like art films that flopped with critics, but I still think are really magnificent. Some of them were just sort of like movies that have already kind of become cult classics. So I was sort of like, I don't really want to talk about. Yeah, I don't want to talk about Speed Racer or something like that everybody kind of agrees now is good. I thought about some movies that were maybe more in the Stone Cold category, like movies that I concede are maybe not good, but I don't really care. Catherine, I think we both talked about Sucker Punch, Zack Snyder's Sucker Punch.
We did talk about Sucker Punch. Yeah.
Misunderstood movie. Not necessarily good, but I think it's a very misunderstood film.
Yes.
You had The Lords of Salem on your list
too.
Oh,
yes. Lords of Salem, Rob Zombie's best film.
Oh, my God. So that made me think, Halloween 2, any Rob Zombie, like, let's go. Mm-hmm. Catherine, what about you?
The first one on my list was Twilight, any Twilight movie. Yeah. And so I checked which ones of them had less than 50%. And I think only the last one did, which is a shame.
That's wild.
I know it's like the only one of them that I think is an objectively good movie. And it plays a trick at the end that's like just incomparable. So I was going to do that just because I don't think Twilight has added to the world. I think it is a net loss for the world, but we
have done a Twilight episode.
It is a rare work of art that prioritizes female desire.
Mm-hmm.
And shows you exactly
of what we talked about. Yeah.
Okay, great. I mean, that's the value of Twilight is it shows you what female desire actually is and what it looks like and how powerful it can be. And I'm all for that. I thought about Showgirls just because I'm not the world's leading expert on Showgirls, but I'm, in the top 10 at least. But ditched it because a lot of people have talked and written about it and because I already wrote about it in my book, so I didn't really want to rehash that. And I can't remember any of the other ones.
It's just an idea that it was impossible to pick one thing. And I think even Pete Timmerman, who was the other guest on this series, like was kind of beset by the idea, like, oh God, that's a lot of what I love, and that's how I feel too, is you always feel very passionately about your stupidest kids, I guess.
Well, it's easy. It's easy to talk for 4 hours about why The Godfather is awesome. I think it's a much more interesting conversation to talk for 4 hours about, a movie that most people don't agree is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was actually surprised at some of my choices when I looked them up had very good reviews. And and I know I mentioned it on the last podcast, but Mithrigan is very well reviewed. And I thought people would not like that movie. And my assumption is that people either saw it in one mode or another and were like, oh, this is what this movie is about. And instead of being like, this movie is not about anything.
That movie, I didn't like that movie.
I didn't hate it. It is a failure. I know what it's trying. I know the multiple things it's trying to do and it fails at all of them.
Oh, shocking.
Sounds like
I love that movie.
I don't hate it. For me, hate is a very visceral reaction to a movie. I have very few movies that I actively hate. The worst thing I can say about a movie is I don't fucking remember a thing about it.
Well, that's true for you because you remember everything and I remember nothing. All right. On top of all that, you all have to give me one more thing. Every episode, we finish up by adding one more thing to the list of things that you now have to do because you listen to this damn podcast. You have to watch Birth. Oh,
Have to watch Birth. Have to
watch Birth. We literally did not describe what Birth is about. Good. We don't need to.
No plot summary needed here.
Andrew, I think it's your turn to go first. What you got? You got one more thing?
Yeah, I want to highlight an upcoming event that I've always really enjoyed. The 18th annual African Film Festival is coming back to Washington University. This is a sort of a touring program of films that it shows up at several places around the nation, but the African and African Studies Department and the Film and Media Studies departments at Washington University bring it back every year as a sort of weekend of free programming. And it's always a fascinating series. One of the things that I love about it is I always sort of try to go to one feature blind, not knowing anything about it. And every time I've done that, I've been invariably impressed with the film I've seen. So I feel like that's a really good batting average when you can just sort of pick a film, go into a film blind. So their programming structure has stayed the same over several years. They show movies on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The upcoming series is playing March 22nd to 24th. The program starts at 7 p.m. every night, and each night is one feature plus one or two shorts paired with it. And that's sort of the standard structure. This year, their features they are bringing are, the big one is Omen, which is a film that's received a lot of Belgian Congo film that's received a lot of notice. It won the New Voice Prize at the Uncertain Regard level at Cannes in 2023. Saturday night is a Senegalese film called Benel and Adama that was also a Palme d'Or nominee. And Sunday night is another Senegalese film called A Tooth for a Tooth. So they have those films as well as shorts. And then the other thing that they always bring, which is really nice, is there's a youth matinee program on Saturday. So this would be March 23rd at 3 p.m. Also free. All these films are free, where they just show a bunch of kid-friendly and animated short films that come from Africa together. This is all contemporary film. These are not classics films. So it's a good sort of window in contemporary African film. Just always a good time and a great deal. So this all happens at Brown Hall, room 100, no admission at Washington University. That's March 22nd to 24th, and I highly recommend it.
Very cool. And where can people find you online?
You can find me on Letterboxd at AWyatt76, and also all my writing at the takeup.com, including my more long-form review of Io Capitano, which we discussed earlier in the episode.
That's the take-up.com.
Thank you.
Katharine.
I have one more things. Movie wise, I have just the other night we watched a documentary from approximately 2014 called Forbidden Films. And it's about the movies that were made by Nazi Germany that have been stored in a vault in Germany for 70 years. And I loved so many things about this documentary. One of the things is that because these are nitrate films, so they're like basically dynamite, they store them in these very specially designed vaults so that if they explode, they'll explode back into a hillside and they're not going to hurt civilians. It's like, this is not a thing that MGM would bother to do with their archive. So I was very impressed by that. But it's a movie that's about grappling with contextualizing propaganda films, and propaganda films that are propaganda by being stories, and how you kind of cope with seeing horrible stereotypes and racism and stuff in a movie that's otherwise just a narrative film, and the dangerousness of that, and kind of what are we supposed to do? Do we show these to the public and let the chips fall where they may, or do we show them only under controlled conditions? Is that too limiting of free speech? It also demonstrated how Germany as a nation has grappled with its legacy over the course of the last, 70 years. And that was fascinating. There are a lot of things about it that I wondered if the individuals being interviewed would rethink given the rise of American fascism in the years since 2014. But I don't know. I thought it was just an irreplaceably fascinating experience to watch this documentary. It's called Forbidden Films. It's on Canopy for free. You can also rent it from Amazon Prime. Check it out. Well worth it. And the other one more thing is by way of self-promotion. This week, I published an imaginary interview with the Icelandic writer Sjon, who was not available for an actual interview. So I just made up words to put in his mouth. And thank God he got in touch with me afterward and said, "Oh, this was so cool." I was like, "Okay, phew." I didn't fuck it up too bad. A new old book of his is being released in English for the first time. And so I was going to interview him for that, but wasn't able to. So anyway, that's at On the Seawall. And you can find that if you search Coldiron Sjon. It's easy to find.
It's very cool. So you guys have good shit. And I'm here to tell you. First, I wrote in our show notes, Oscars. I'm like, my brain is so fucking empty right now. Yeah. But I changed my mind because it is going to lead into us announcing our next series. So at the Alamo Draft House, they're doing a thing right now called the Time Capsule, where every couple of months they're rewinding another 5 years to show a slate of films from a certain year. So they started this year in January and February with the films of 1999. I saw Magnolia on 35 millimeter here. I saw all kinds of shit. All right. Now we're in 1994. In this past week, I've seen Pulp Fiction and Little Women on the big screen for the first time. Pulp Fiction, I've never seen with an audience. So that was a fucking delight. Pulp Fiction, a film I reassess as not as great as the last time I watched it. Every time I say, okay, thank God, Katharine, the woman who wrote the essay, is agreeing with me. I'm like, man, that first 45 minutes, the kind of prologue and then the date, to me, are among his best. The middle section, among his worst.
I mean,
you can see why it was a bomb. It felt like a bomb went off when it came out.
Absolutely.
But he is absolutely a filmmaker who has gotten better with time.
Yeah, has gotten better with time. Yes.
And so much more secure about what he's actually interested in instead of just being a mixtape guy. Like, I think it's still a very exciting film, but artistically, but yeah, I think less and less of it each time.
But I also had an entry point with this time about the kind of people who like we are. That film is sort of about that. Like if people were to take it to illogical extremes of being like culturally aware and obsessed. And the thing that really got me this time was how all of the characters in the film Pulp Fiction are dressed versus everyone else in the film. We're just in their like 90s streetwear. How fucking alien would it be to see Jules and Vincent just walking into a diner? Well,
I think there are Mormons.
In that part, you know, right? Exactly. Like carrying a suitcase. What? Anyway, so it's a really fun program, and that they're showing a lot of different films. Like they showed All About My Mother for a week in January because it's from 1999, and of course I was there. I was just in my happy space. So they're going to do it throughout the rest of the year, and it will wind up in the year 1974, and that's a great movie year. And so I'm really excited. Our Alamo is a franchise, so I get the idea that they sort of get to pick and choose things. Like I don't think we're gonna get Kieslowski's Three Colors, but other Alamos will. So that's a note to the St. Louis Alamo. It's like, I would like to, you could show that.
Didn't Pete show the Three Colors recently though? Like in the last year or so?
Go, and I'm stupid and whatever. It's my adult high chair. Anyway, so it's not inspired by this, but it was an idea Andrew had for a series of us taking a look at our favorite movie years. So the idea is that you would pick a year and that you would make a choice, one film from that year to discuss at large. But then we would also take the opportunity to look at the entire year in cinema. Our very first episode is going to be the year 1980. That is my pick. I did my math. I exported data from Letterboxd. Yes, I did all this. I created a pivot table to see not only where my like mean and median were in each
Excel
year,
nerds rise up.
but I wanted to see also.
And then sit back down, please.
Yes, I'm going to sit back down. Anyway, I ended up picking 1980. There's a film from 1980 that is like, how do I not pick it? Also, it seems like maybe I shouldn't because it's going to take us 15 years to talk about The Shining. But yes, that's our next episode is The Shining. That is, yeah.
It feels like both we could have a 4-hour episode on it and also sort of stupid. Like, what is there to say about The Shining?
What do you have to say about?
Yeah.
One of cinema's like great white whale mysteries. Like nobody knows what that movie's about, and yet we all know what the fuck it's about.
I'm gonna redirect you again to that Stanley Kubrick archive before we watch that film and
Dude,
do the shot. Read the
gonna
shot
turn
by
into
shot
a
breakdown.
nightmare.
Yeah,
This is gonna turn into a fucking nightmare. Like, who wants to hear us talk about those things? Like, we're anyway. Yeah. So next episode, we're going to talk about Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, a film you've never heard of or heard.
no
talk
white
about.
guys on podcasts have ever talked about The Shining ever. I don't think.
Sorry,
blazing new territory here.
And in the meantime, you can find me at Crispy Retinas, and you can find all of us at the Take Up STL. Anyway, on our next episode, little picture called The Shining, and we're on to my favorite movie year. It's going to be fun. 1980, Raging Bull v. Ordinary People.
Dressed to Kill.
Dressed to Kill. Dressed to Kill.
I was sure you were going to pick that. Speaking of DePaul.
Really?
Yeah. I thought they were going to pick that one.
Don't want to hear me talk about Dressed to Kill. I'm in trouble. Berlin Alexanderplatz premiered on German television. Girl, 1980 was good.
Yeah.
So good.
It's the last good year for art film until like 86, I'd say.
Oh, 86 was another one I looked at. I looked at so many years. Anyway, that's been a fun project. Until then, thank you to our editor, Jessica Pierce, social media from Kayla McCullough, theme music by AMP, and thank you to our guest, Katharine Coldiron, our guest who will be returning for The Shining. And until then, Wendy.
We've all seen
literally all I can think of from The Shining.
We've all seen Room 237, right? I just want to get that out of the way.
Oh yeah.